everybody, it's Jenni Brandon, and this is another episode of Jenni Brandon's Work in Progress. So I know a lot of you, like myself, are now officially into the quarantine time. We've been asked to shelter at home for the next couple of weeks, which means not getting out to do our regular activities and especially not getting out to perform and make music the way that we love to. But I think about this time as a way that we can step back for a moment and reorganize, regroup, and think about putting things into work that we want to have happen once this time is through. And it will be through. But in the meantime, we've got some extra time on our hands to be able to start to plan and think about what comes next. So I thought I would share with you today one way that I begin to organize my time, my projects, what I want to do now, what I want to do in the future. And I wanted to show you how I do this, so it might spark some ideas for yourself to go and organize. Maybe you already have a system, and if you do, I'd love to hear about it, because I'm always looking for ways to be more organized and better focused on projects. So you see behind me here, I've got my pretty standard cork board, and I use this to put up all of my current projects. I use this to put ideas for future projects, things I need to remember, a business card that I picked up from someone that I'm like, oh yeah, I need to contact them again. And I start to put them on this board. And I tend to use small index cards, right? I have a whole box of lovely colored index cards. I personally feel like it's important to have multicolored index cards. Your preference, if you want all white, that's great. I like my different colors just for fun. But I'll take these and I'll write up on there my current projects, and then I sort of will have a list, and then underneath of that list I'll put when is a due date, or maybe someone's given me something that I need to specifically focus on. And so I'll start to have this visual board that I can sit at my desk. I know you can't see in here, but like right over here is where I sit and I work at my computer. I can turn, I can look, and I can be like, oh yeah, this is due today, or this project is something that I need to work on. So I have a couple current projects, I have a couple future projects coming up, and actually right before this, I cleaned this off because it was a big pile of stuff, of past projects, of things that I'd collected over the last year, but it was time to take that down and it was time to start fresh. So what I'm going to do here is I'll come back in a little bit once I filled this board up, and I'm going to start to put on here ideas for things I want to work on, the stuff I should be working on. All those projects that you wish you had time for, you might have time for those now. So I'm going to put them up on my board so that I can start to think about those and begin to work on those. So I'll be back in a little bit once I filled this up with a little bit more fun colors and some new ideas, and I'll share with you what happens next. So I'll be back in just a little bit. So I finished reorganizing my board, and I wanted to share with you what I've done. So I'm trying something a little bit different this time. I decided that I really wanted to approach this in a way of project management. And so thinking about project management as moving through phases, as the project progresses in phases, that we are going to move the project along the board until we get to the end, and then until we finally get to take the project off. So let me show you what I've done here. So along the side here, I've got my projects that I'm currently working on. So of course these will change as stuff finishes, but I like the ability to be able to, use sticky notes to kind of put a project on, take it off when I'm done. And then I've got categories that go here across the top. And I spent a lot of time thinking about this because I wanted to find categories that were both specific and generic, because not every project is exactly the same, right? I've got commissioning projects, pieces I'm writing. I've got projects that include me getting works out in the mail, if people order music from me through Jenni Brandon Music. I've got other projects that I'm working on, and so trying to find these categories that work across the board was a little tricky. So I'm going to try it out again with the sticky notes, because those are easily removable and replaced, right? So let me tell you what I did for my project organization here. So got our projects on the side. Across the top here are my categories. It starts here with contracting, deadlines, details of a project, or if I've received an order, it can start here. And then I can move project over, and here's the next one, which is the research category, or getting permissions for poetry, or I also have contract has been signed if it's a commissioning project. So for example, a lot of projects that I work on, I research, whether it's for poetry, whether it's for story, whether it's about a location that I'm writing about. So I have a real built-in time into a project where I'm researching. And then I can begin to move it forward from there, and then it begins to become a writing project. So then I start to write. I start to sketch out with my colored pencils like I've talked to you about before. I start to actually sit at the piano with paper and pencil and write this out, and then move to the computer, right, where I start to enter it in. And then going forward from there, then I get to work into the editing and the draft phase. So I'm going to edit the piece, obviously, on the computer. I'm going to try to make it look as good as possible so it's easy for the performers to look through it and read it. I'm going to share that draft with my performers, and I'm going to let them take a look for a while and give me some feedback on it, right? So this is where this will sit while I'm waiting for that feedback. And then once I'm moving forward here, actually, sorry, this is the draft section. Here's the feedback section. Or I'm following up and or confirming an order if I received like a physical order to put together and put in the mail. And then I'm going to move the stuff into this category once I'm ready to do the final edit on the piece. Once I've gotten feedback from the performers, I'm ready to start creating parts. I'm ready to start to create the cover for the piece, the program notes, in preparation for handing off that final piece to performers. Or this is also my category where I'm getting ready to ship stuff out into the mail. Just some examples of categories and how they're working kind of specific, generic together. And then finally, I'll move it over into this section of delivery of the final score and parts, or delivery of the actual physical scores I'm sending out for an order. This is where things might sit if I'm waiting for money to come back. Let's say, for example, here in my Jenni Brandon music line, I've got an invoice out for an order that a distributor ordered. So I'm waiting to hear back from them on that. So I just tuck that there just as a reminder to myself. And as those fill up more and more, I may just stick a sticky there and have those in a folder at my desk. And then finally, when the project's all done, I take the cards off. So I'm going to try this out. This is different for me. And as you can see, some of the projects I have, some of them have a couple categories going at a time. We'll see if that works. We'll see if I actually stay on top of the organization or if I feel like I get bogged down. But what it allows me to do is to see if something's sitting in a category and maybe it's been sitting there for a while and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to move this forward. I need to call this person, or I need to ship this score out, or I need to finish editing this piece. So it's a visual thing for me. And I mean, obviously musicians, we're very visual, right? We look at scores all the time, but maybe your organization is different. And I'd love to hear about how you organize as well. If you have a different way that you do it that you found really successful, drop me a note, let me know about that. I'd love to hear your thoughts and we can have a further discussion. But I'll check back in with you all about this and see how this goes. See if I like this, see if I'm revamping my categories. I have a feeling I will. So I'll let you know how it goes in a couple weeks and we'll check back in. But in the meantime, let me know your thoughts on projects, on organization, on creativity, whatever you want to talk about. I'd love to hear from you. You can drop me a note at my website, which is jennibrandon.com. You can also drop me a note on Facebook, on Instagram. I've got a YouTube page where I'm putting up all of these videos as well, and I'd love to hear from you. So in the meantime, stay healthy, stay safe out there, and I look forward to talking to you all soon. Bye-bye.